The island here. We weren't sure, but glad everyone made their way here. My name's Cyril Walther. I'm actually the middle school principal of Washington Park Middle School, which is in Washington, PA. It's an urban school about 25 minutes south of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And, all right, thank you. Have two ladies here today that are very creative and are very passionate about student learning. And this is their first time presenting, so they're a little nervous, so please be nice to them. But we have Miss Erin Moore, who's our 8th grade special education teacher, and Miss Christy Scott, who is our 8th grade language arts teacher. This all started actually at a High Schools at Work conference for us several years ago. Brought back some information, and with two very creative people, when they asked if I would put them together, I knew one of two things were going to happen. They were either going to kill each other, or it was going to be something great for our students. And it ended up being something great for our students. And so they're here to kind of share, hopefully give you some nuggets to take back and use in your schools as well. Ladies?
Like you said, this is the first time we've ever done this. We've never presented at a conference, and hopefully, eventually a lot of you will be doing the same thing. But I am the special education teacher, and I have about 15 years of experience, not all at Washington School District, about 12 of it is at the Washington School District. But I taught in Maryland for a long time, and I taught in an inclusive environment in St. Mary's County, if anybody's from Maryland. It was, oh, you are? Well, it was a great experience, and I enjoyed it, and I was educated in Pennsylvania, so when I came back to Pennsylvania to live, I just assumed, that they were, as advanced as the systems in Maryland. And what I found is because our school districts are very locally based, they're not county based, that sometimes, things were a little political and things were a little behind. So coming into Washington, we did a lot of self-contained classes. And probably for my first 6 years there, that's what we did. We had our learning support students separate, and everybody liked it that way. The regular education teachers, didn't really want to shake the boat. They wanted to keep those kids separate, and that was the norm there. Well, we had a lawsuit in Pennsylvania. It was called the Gaskin case, where, here, yeah, I am getting a little ahead. Let me just start out just by giving you a little bit of our demographics. And this is probably the most important chart here, our economic breakdown. We're about 68% poverty level. So, we have a high level of students on free and reduced lunches, and we cover about three projects, housing projects in our district. Our district is very interesting. Mrs. Scott is from California.
Well, here, actually, since you gave your
talk about the donut. That's really interesting.
I've been at Washington Park for 6 years. I taught in California in San Diego County for 6 years as well. And her experience in Maryland, where things were more advanced, and then she came to Washington and she felt like she was backtracking. I had sort of not the opposite, but a different experience. I came from California, where classrooms are very, very typically, I had juniors, about 45 students. If you had 45 desks in your room, and you felt really lucky if you were able to have maybe 1 or 2 empty desks in your classroom. And then I came to Washington, and my highest class was 20 students. And I kept thinking, I have to do something different. I can't teach the same way I taught 45 students when I feel like I can reach every single student differently. So when Erin and I teamed up, she came up with this idea that we're going to share with you, and it just seemed the perfect integration. It was, we have all these students that have so many needs and special needs that I felt like with so few students, we could do something really great. And we ended up, really meshing something that if you have a large classroom, a small classroom, it could work.
Right. Well, our school district, what I was talking about, we're about a 2¼ mile radius, and which seems really odd. And she really gave me a perspective when she came, because we talk about our district. We have, well, let me fast forward this and show you our IEP students. We have about 19%. And then our cultural breakdown, we have about 58% students white, about 31% students African American. Now, In our surrounding schools, though, that 31% will drop dramatically. Okay, so we are considered the urban school district in our area.
Okay, the donut. We have a school district that surrounds us that has a completely different demographic. And if you literally look at the map of Washington County in Pennsylvania, this particular school district surrounds us like a donut. And we are the donut hole. And the demographics of our donut hole are completely different. So you kind of come into the area and say, you think you know what you're going into, and then you reach our little 2.5 mile circle, and it completely changes. That's where what she was saying about the
Cultural
breakdown, the low-income housing, those kinds of things are all within that donut, and that's what our school services.
Right. And if you know anything about rural Pennsylvania, you know there's a lot of ideas about what urban school districts are like. We have interns who come from the surrounding school districts who say that they've always been afraid to drive through our school district because they're going to get shot. And which, when they come there, they find it's a whole other ball game. So, we really like to, bring a lot of, and we do have a lot of intern programs from the local colleges. We do have one in the town of Washington Jefferson College, if anybody's familiar with it. And we also have California University of Pennsylvania, which produces a lot of teachers. They have a great teaching program. So we do have the benefit of bringing a lot of interns in and kind of showing them that we aren't what people think of us. But because we do have 3 housing projects in our district, we really do, and we have a transient population. We have a lot of shelters in our district where the homeless students stay. Typically, when they bring the families in, it's in our district. So we service those students, and can you think of any other of the, yeah, that's pretty much, where we are. We have kids who move out and move back in a lot. So a lot of times, we're working with kids who are coming from 7 different schools in the last few years. So, it's really sometimes very difficult. Now, my own children go to this district, and so, I had a vested interest in, making sure that our education, and plus I grew up in Washington. This is the town that I'm from. So I know all these kids, I know their parents, and so, as they were coming up through, I knew that they had more potential than what we were doing. And also the fact that, we're a school that has great sports programs. We have huge Prexy pride. When we have other districts coming in to see us, and that's Prexy means little presidents, because Washington Jefferson are the presidents. We are the little presidents. So, and our sports teams, are very dominant in the area, and our students really, back generations, even when I was young, the sports programs just outplayed everybody in the area. So when we started to do all this, we really used that to our advantage, that pride factor. And I know other schools coming in say, we wish we had that, our kids don't really care about their school, and we wish we had all the secretaries, It's just across the board, everybody in the school district really buys into it. But what happened in Pennsylvania, let me get back to what I was talking about. This is our scores in reading, our proficient and advanced students in 8th grade for reading. 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. Now this is the year we started co-teaching, and I was talking about the Gaskin case. Gaskin was a behavior student who sued the state of Pennsylvania because he felt that, or his family felt that he wasn't placed in his least restrictive environment, and he won. So we had an initiative across the state of Pennsylvania where our least restrictive environment was starting to be monitored. So we had to move into the direction of inclusion, which I absolutely was very excited about, because especially I taught emotional support for a long time. And probably never did I have less than 15, 16 students in that classroom. And anybody in here teach or behavior disorder? Well, you know how that can be when you put a lot of students in the same environment. They all have problems. Whose behaviors do they model? Each other's. So it's really, and for years, I would tell our special ed director, this is not the way we should do this. We should be putting them out where they can see other students and see how they should be behaving, and so on and so forth. So this is where we were. And this is actually the first year we started this, but we didn't start this until a few months before the PSSA. So